Excellent. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good to see you all. Good to see you on Sunday evening, 10 o'clock in the UK. It's the at the moment it's a regular time for our Zoom call for Wealth Warriors, and going to announce a small change to the layout going forward, and hopefully I'll be putting this in place this week. Because we've kind of run over time the last two or three presentations that I've done, even though I tried really hard to cut down on the standard presentation and just get into um, get into the different platforms and so on. Last week, you may recall, we did away with the standard presentation completely. We just had a general discussion about Wealth Warriors, where we're going, what we're doing, how we're working with the platforms, different platforms we may be looking to adopt, and this sort of thing. And I've been thinking about that. I think it worked really well as a one-off, but I want to sort of formalize that in different types of presentations. So what we're going to do today is a standard presentation, literally nothing about, sorry, literally 20 seconds on each of the four platforms we're working with. And apart from that, it's just all about Wealth Warriors and why we do it, what we're trying to do, how it works, and so on and so forth. Because I think that's an important thing to get across to brand new people, and for us to keep reminding ourselves of what we're trying to do. It's easy to lose sight because it isn't like anything we've ever seen before. I certainly haven't, and I suspect you haven't. And even if you've been around Wealth Warriors for a while, you probably realize it's not the same as all these other platforms, all these other Zoom calls you get invited to go on. I'm not trying to sell you on a different platform or talk to you about earnings and so on. I'm talking to you about building a community that's going to feed you and your family and your loved ones, not only in your lifetime, but for generations to come. Because what we think we've done is mastered the art of building on an online community utilizing, I should say, different platforms that are available from time to time. Okay, you get the hang of that. We're not reliant on any one platform being honest or being having longevity or surviving the political storms that have been happening and that are going to continue to happen, the economic storms that happen. Okay, these businesses, these platforms come and go, and so we need a system that's going to guarantee, to not guarantee us, but guide us through, so that we can have a community, we can build a community of people that we know and love, and we can all together make money from these online businesses. So that's what we're trying to do with Wealth Warriors. Is it perfect? Probably not. I'm fairly analytical. I haven't changed the basics of Wealth Warriors for probably about 6, 7, 8 months now. So if it's not perfect, I think it's getting close to being on the right track. And hopefully any changes going forward will only be very minor. So that's going to be tonight's presentation, just about Wealth Warriors, very little to do with the platforms. There will be a questions and answers session after I switch off the recording. So this recording hopefully will be suitable for us to give out to people to tell them about Wealth Warriors. Okay. And I'll tell you why we want to do that a bit later. And what I plan to do is later in the week is to do a 1 hour presentation, 1 hour. It's not even a presentation, it's a 1 hour discussion, if you like, a 1 hour Zoom call about the platforms we're using, and possibly even look at some other platforms we can all examine together. But certainly going forward to just sorry for that Zoom call to look at the four platforms we're working with, how they're performing, where we see the strengths, the weaknesses, how we can strategize with them, what sort of reliance we should have on them. So really dig into those platforms. And we can't do both of those things, both of those type of Zoom calls on one Zoom call and get it done within an hour. And I don't think anybody would sit through a video that's more than an hour, which is something we've tried to avoid, sometimes succeeding. So, and then I'm thinking of a third type of presentation, a third type of Zoom call, if you like, where people get hold of me and they say, okay, I've got this platform that I think is going to be good for Wealth Warriors. And what we would do is any Wealth Warriors who want to jump on a Zoom call with us, and I say to them, Okay, it's your show. You tell us why. Well, explain to us what this business is. Explain to us why you think it would fit in with Wealth Warriors. You've got an hour. Go. Okay, and we might be able to get two or three of those presentations in 1 hour. So I'm thinking of that. I'd be interested in your feedback later to see what you see whether you think that's a good idea or not. Okay, but I'm in a position now where I'm able to ramp up my efforts a little bit more than I have been. Some of you know I've not been not been firing on all cylinders. Um, but I feel I'm getting to the point now where I can push forward, do a little bit more, expand my offering to the community, and start looking at bringing on more platforms as and when we analyze them and think they're suitable. So I'm going to leave you guys in a position where you can unmute yourselves if you want to. If anybody abuses that, then I'll just mute them, and if they really abuse it, then I'll kick them out. But I don't expect that from any of you guys. It's these newcomers. You never can tell with the newcomers. They're a dodgy bunch, I tell you. So that's kind of my thoughts about where we're going to go going forward. And I'm going to switch over to the standard presentation that I prepared. I actually prepared it for last week. We didn't get to use it. It's been such a long time. I've forgotten how to share my screen. Okay, and hopefully, yes, it's telling me you can see my screen. And yeah, the thing I didn't do with the presentation, I didn't update the date on the presentation. So we didn't use it last week. I made a couple of small changes again this week, but it's reasonably up to date. So it's actually Sunday, the 15th of June, 2025, not the 8th of June. And I'm just grateful you don't have to be great. Sorry, I'm just grateful you don't have to be very good to be doing this sort of stuff, or I'd be completely snookered. So, welcome to Wealth Warriors. I do see us as financial freedom fighters. The more I learn about the way the world works, and hopefully you will in your journey with Wealth Warriors and the platforms we're involved with, you will see that there are huge forces marshaled against us to prevent us from stepping out of the norm, stepping out of the little box, the little cubicle, the little I don't know pigeonhole that the powers that be want us to be in. They want us to be good, loyal consumers, and not to do anything else to rock the boat. And even people who do rock the boat soon get knocked back into their little cubbyhole. Okay, and so I see us as the rebels, the rebel army going back against, the empire, where there's a coup d'etat maybe in some third world country, and the military takes over, and the dictatorship moves in, and so they take over the country, and we're the ones that have run away to the jungle to because we don't want to live in a dictatorship. We want to live life on our own terms. And we keep sneaking back into their civilization to snatch a few more people that we know and love away so that they can also live a life of freedom and abundance. So that's kind of how I see it. It might be romanticized, but I don't care. I've never been accused of not being a romantic. So welcome to Wealth Warriors. First, we start with a disclaimer. Obviously, nothing in this presentation is to be taken as financial or investment advice. And in fact, I can stop the disclaimer there if I want to, because I'm not going to give you any advice at all about any investments, any of the platforms. We're only going to touch on the platforms very briefly. And so there's nothing really for you to take my advice about any type of investment involved in this presentation. Wealth Warriors is not an investment platform, it's a community. Okay, so hopefully I've got that message across to you by now. But if you do decide to invest in any of the platforms discussed in this presentation, or I should say that we promote as a community, only use money you can comfortably afford to lose and carry out your own due diligence. Now, that's not really a warning just so that I don't want to see you lose lots of money, because nobody wants to see you lose lots of money. Even if somebody makes some commissions, okay, we don't promote, oh yes, sell your house and take out a second mortgage, put all your money in here, let me make a lot of commissions, okay? We don't say that to people, but I see in a lot of businesses that's exactly how people act, okay? And we don't want to do that. And the reason is because we're building a community of people that we want to be working together with for years to come, 20, 30, 40, 50 years, not just get them into one of these platforms make as much commission as we can before the thing goes bust. That's totally not what we're about. And so the warning is it's better to start small, gain confidence, reinvest some of your profits rather than sell it, cash in your pension or cash in your life savings and get involved in one platform. There is no one platform that's going to make you rich. It doesn't matter what the platform is. There is no one platform that you can rely on to get you rich. But together, all the platforms we're looking at can make you financially free. It can certainly make you wealthy and allow you to live an abundant life. And to me, that's a more important thing than just getting rich on one platform before it goes bust. So what is the problem with online businesses? Why do we need to do so? Why can't we just join one business and put all our money in and make loads of money? Because they wouldn't lie to us, would they? They wouldn't take our money and not give us the rewards. They just wouldn't do that. After all, I've seen the video of the CEO, so it must be true. The problem with online businesses is there are just too many scams out there. And when I say scams, I mean a business that was deliberately set up to cheat you, deceive you, take your money. Now, because they're kind of desperate to put themselves in a position where you put as much money into their business or their platform as you possibly can, they're relatively easy to spot these days. Not all of them, some of them are real doozies. They're really, really good at hiding their tracks. But the thing that drives...
Another one.
Oh, we got 3 done?
I got us.
Sorry, Clayton, I've got to mute you, my friend. Sorry. Yeah, sorry, lost my train of thought. So, yeah, there are just too many scams out there. They set up deliberately to take our money, and we would be unwise to trust any one business not to be a scam until we've had some track record with them. We put some money in, we've taken some money out, at least at the point where we've reclaimed all of our stake money. So we've taken out at least as much as we put in. Then we're kind of playing with casino money. We're playing with company money, not our own money. So then we can kind of get a little bit free and easy and do what we want. But the problem is there are too many scams. They're relatively easy to spot, but some of them are really, really well thought out. And the thing that drives these scams, and you may not like this, but it's our own greed. And the people that are introducing us to it, whether it's our friends, whether it's by a video or by an AI presentation or whatever it is, you'll notice that the words that are used are set to prey on our greed. Nobody can be scammed if they're not greedy. Okay, nobody can lose all of their money if they're not greedy, because if you're not greedy, you wouldn't put all your money in. Okay, and I'm not excluding myself from this. I'm saying we've all learned, we're a little bit older, a little bit wiser, and that's part of why we're building Wealth Warriors, because we are not greedy. We want to be pragmatic business people. We want to be intelligent investors. So that's kind of what we're trying to do. We may run across a scam once in a while, but we either avoid it. If we can, we avoid it. Once in a while, we'll lose a little bit of money, but that's that's not going to be the end of the world. It won't be a life-threatening situation. No. There are other businesses out there. They're not scams. People think they're scams because they eventually fail and they take all our money and they're gone. But it doesn't mean they were set up as a scam. A lot of businesses are somebody who's got a good idea for a platform, a good idea for a trading system or an arbitrage system or some system, and they want your money in order to fund their attempt to run their own business, which makes sense for them. Also, what they do is they promise you a certain amount of results. And what you don't realize is they don't really know what they're doing. They may be a good trader. They may be good at arbitrage. They're no good at running a business. They don't know how to disseminate information. They don't know how to organize the finances. They don't know how to meet all the rules and regulations, the corporate guidance and the compliance issues. They don't know any of that stuff. They don't know how to keep their staff in check, how to make sure that their coders don't run off with their good idea, how to make sure that their traders don't run off with your money.
Minutes.
Okay, so they don't know these things. This doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means they don't know. And you see this on the high street all the time. Some businesses start up this week or start up this year. they won't be around in 3 or 4 years' time. And you can walk down your own high street where you live, and you can look for businesses that were there 5 years ago that are not there anymore. Okay, and it doesn't mean they're bad. They were badly run. It's that maybe they didn't adapt to the internet properly. Maybe they didn't have the right products for that community. Maybe they didn't have the right price point for those products. Maybe they couldn't find trained staff for the price they need, so they priced themselves out of the market. Okay, there's so many different things that can go wrong with businesses, and banks and insurance actuaries write up every year. They write up a big long list of why businesses fail, and 95% of businesses don't survive 5 years. That's online businesses and offline businesses. So it doesn't mean they're bad people. They just don't know what they're doing. And so we try and spot those as quickly as we can and avoid them. In some cases, in fact, just a recap or just a little bit of an insight. Sometimes some of those businesses have actually contacted me and asked me to analyze their businesses and tell them what they need to do in order to salvage it or to make it run smoothly, make it profitable, and so on and so forth. And of the few that I've looked at over the last 4 years, every single one has declined my advice because they're generally in this category of people that are good. They're good people. They just don't know what they're doing. Because when I tell them what they need to do in order to sort out their business, in other words, what they need to do is to build a company that's going to run the business, not just three coders and a website. So three coders and the guy who's got the money in the back pocket. Okay, when I tell them what they need to put in place in order to have a corporation to run the business, and how much it's going to cost them and how what they need to do to just put that in place. Most of them say it's too difficult. That's not what I want to do with my life. I thought I'd be able to just help people make money by doing this. So I'm off. And those businesses that I've analyzed in that way, every single one of them, all four of the guys, and if I mention their names, you'd know them. They've all just walked away and said, that's not what I want to do. It's too tough. Okay, so and they're all nice people. If you knew them, you would say, what nice guys. But they don't have the interest in running their business the way that it needs to be run in order to succeed. So the third category, those businesses that aren't scams and don't go bust, get shut down by regulators and government departments. This is a real problem because some all you need is some regulators in a certain country. For example, the US have the SEC. There's a federal SEC. There's SECs in every single state, and also in Canada. In the UK, we've got the FCA. We've got similar organisations in Australia and pretty much every country in Europe. And so, if you get enough people complaining about a particular website, in those countries, those regulators will step in and look at it and they'll say, we're going to shut this down. Now, they never step in and look at it and say, oh, yes, this looks like it's a legitimate, well-run business, or even a legitimate business that is not being very well run. We don't see any problem with this. The reason they do that is because they don't know what they're looking at. They don't take the time to analyze the business. They have a checklist, if you like. If you go and complain about I don't know, if you had a bank, you were complaining about a bank, the banking ombudsman has a checklist of all the different things that bank has to do. And as long as the bank's doing those things, they'll be fine. And if not, then they'll be told to sort their life out. With these online businesses, these regulators don't understand online businesses. What they say is that business over here that you're complaining about looks a lot like this business over here. And I know that there was one business like that was shut down 2 years ago. So if that one was shut down, this one being kind of the same, I'll kind of say they're the same thing, and so I'm going to shut that one down as well. Maybe nothing wrong with the business, but that's how the regulators operate. And just to prove that the operators are not there to protect the investors, okay, of all the money they've ever seized from all the businesses they've shut down, I don't believe a single investor has got a single penny back from those regulators. That money gets siphoned off into the coffers of whichever government has shut that business down. They call it illegal earnings. And it's not as if they can't find out who the money belongs to, because these companies have a database saying, John is owed £1,000, Andy's owed £2,000. Okay, so it's not that they can't find out where the money belongs. They just don't want to do that. That's not what they're in business for. So that's one of the problems with online businesses. And it could be a good business, it could be a scam. They do shut down scams uh, as good businesses. But it's not based on any sort of objective truth. It's the fact that some people, they get a large number of complaints, and sometimes it's complaints from people like you and I. But instead of learning about how the business works and building it properly, they try and take shortcuts. They try and cheat people. They try and stack people below them, and they try and bend all these rules to try and get around all the different rules just so that they can make a quick buck. And then when it doesn't work, they're the ones that are complaining to the regulators. Again, in fact, I saw a statistic from the California SEC, I think it was about 3 weeks ago, that said that 60% of people who complain to the SEC about online businesses are actually themselves scammers trying to game the system. And I think it's pretty rich because what they want to do is to shut down their competition. Um, so that's just one way they've got of doing it. Okay. But the fact is, it doesn't matter how much money you make in online businesses, you cannot become truly free. If you're making $1 million a day in one platform, you can't rely on that because tomorrow it may be gone. Your spending now has gone up to $1 million a day, or your lifestyle, whatever it is, has gone up to that level. So therefore, if that income disappears, you're as broke as anyone else, even if they're making $1,000 a day or $100 a day. Okay, so you can't become truly free, financially free, time free, and free from government control if you're dependent on one platform. So what's our plan? Well, if we keep doing what we're doing, we're going to get the same results. Okay, I like an expression that says that none of us are as smart as all of us. So collectively, we can do better than we can do individually. That's the idea of building a community. And this is where I see a little bit of damage being done in different communities where people are vying for position. I want to be upline from the people who introduced me to this business. I'm going to get into this business. Now I'm going to introduce them as my upline. Okay, well, it destroys this trust. It destroys this collective learning, this collective support system. Um, so, but if we do it right, if we work together, we can help most of us avoid the pitfalls of the industry. And if anybody's going to fall for one of the pitfalls, fall into one of the pitfalls, it's going to be me, because before I ever recommend a platform to anybody else, I make sure that I'm in it and I've got some money in it and I'm making money and I know what I'm doing. Because there's never a rush. People will have you believe that when you see a platform, you've got to get in it there and then. Oh, be the first mover advantage. They're doing a special 10% offer this month. Be in by the 25th or whatever it is. Rubbish. If it's a good business, it'll be around for a long time and you can make money in a controlled and consistent way. In a controlled way is the best way of, or the best expression, because you don't want it to be a haphazard thing. You don't want it to be a sometimes thing. You want it to be that every single time you join a platform, you're going to make money at it. Every single time on into the future. Okay, working with the same community over and over and over, same community, all making money together. Okay, and that's a beautiful position to be in. But we can't do that if we are individually out there doing our own thing. Okay, repeating mistakes of the past. And we're safer together. And safety is not a direct correlation. You don't think of it automatically, but with this type of online or with online businesses, if you have safety, if you know that you're going to be able to make income for years and years and years, then you have safety, which means you have time. You have time to start small and build. And if you keep building, even if you start with something small, you start building and keep building, and it gets big. Whether it's a big income, a big set of assets, whatever it is, it gets bigger and bigger. But you need time to make that happen. So what are the benefits? The first benefit, you will never lose all of your money to a scammer again. The second benefit is your team develop deep loyalty and commitment. Okay, so the first benefit there, you'll never lose all of your money to a scammer again, is because you'll never give any scammer, any business, even the good ones, you'll never give them all of your money, because you're going to have a number of platforms to invest in. So you're not going to invest just in the best one. You're going to invest in all of them. And the reason you don't invest in just the best one is, let's suppose that that's the one that goes bust next. You say, well, I'm getting I don't know, I'm getting 20% a month from this business, and I'm only getting 5% a month from all these other businesses. So I'm going to put all my money into that first business and get 20% a month. Okay, and that's the one that goes bust. Why would you put yourself in that position? You wouldn't. If you're smart, you wouldn't. Okay, so you should never lose all of your money to a scammer again. You may lose some once in a while. We try to avoid that. If we can't avoid it, then we mitigate it, we minimize it, we make it as small as possible. Benefit two, and we try and make it to affect as few people as possible, because when we get into these platforms, we don't get everybody involved. We get a few leaders in, and then we build up a little bit of feedback, a little bit of experience about how they're, are they allowing withdrawals? Are they allowing this? What happens if they do this, if we do that? And then people start saying, well, they've started denying this, and they've started telling me we can't have withdrawals unless that. Okay. And so we start saying, well, maybe, let's look out for that happening to more than one person. So we start analysing and checking on this business before we ever release it to the whole community. Benefit three. This is the most important thing. This is really what drove me to start looking at building Wealth Warriors, is to protect your permanent network of contacts. And the reason is this is the thing that most people do that hurts them the most, not only in their online business or their money-making efforts, but in their lives. What happens is we see a platform, we get excited about it. Okay, our greed gland gets all swollen up. We go, yes, I'm going to be rich, and not only that, I'm going to take all my friends, neighbors, relatives, and colleagues with me. We're all going to be rich. It's going to be great. You put as much money in as you can. You convince all of your friends to join you. Okay, they put as much money in as they can, and then it turns out to either be a scam or a badly run business, whatever it is. Pop, gone. Okay, and you're left then holding the bag. Now you're not really, because those people are free to ignore your advice, do their own due diligence. Okay, but the point is, you've introduced some friends of yours to something, and they've lost money. You feel terrible about it, and of course they're happy to blame you because they don't want to take the blame for their own actions, or the responsibility for their own actions. So they blame you, you blame yourself. Okay, and it's a horrible position to be in. We've all been there. We don't like being there. Wouldn't it be great though if instead of that we could protect our permanent network of contacts, so that when they do, when a business does fail, they realize it's not our fault and it doesn't matter that much. They didn't lose very much. And also they're working with you in 3, 4, 5, 6 other platforms. So they're not going to be on your case. They're not going to be upset with you. They realize that's the world we live in. We do the best we can to avoid these things, but there are no guarantees. And we're grown-ups about it. In Wealth Warriors, we're grown-ups about it. We don't talk about, oh, this is never going to happen. It may happen. Okay, things happen. And we're aware of that, and we face it like grown-ups, and we expect other people to face it like grown-ups, but we also don't encourage them to put all of their money into any one particular thing. So do you see how this is starting to protect your permanent network of contacts? You can build future businesses much faster with far more profit. So imagine you've got a tremendous network of 1,000 people working in 3 or 4 different platforms, and then we come across this other great platform. We analyze it, we check it, it's good. A few of us get involved. We start saying, this looks good. Let's get it out to the rest of the community. And within a few days of you being introduced to that brand new business, you've already put 1,000 people in, because you have a network, a permanent network of 1,000 people. So what we have is a system where you can put 1,000 people into that network, into that new business quickly and easily. Can you see how quickly you move up through the ranks in that new business? How quickly you've been bringing in the profit from that new business? Okay, so you're being rewarded with profit from the new business based on work you've done in the past. That's the absolute dream of networking. But no other, you can't do that with a single platform. You can't do that without having a community that knows what they're doing. Okay, and you can't do that without good leaders like you guys. So that's a tremendous benefit, and I've not seen that offered anywhere else. I don't know how anybody else would do it apart from the way we're doing it. Benefit 5, build one business and grow all of the businesses. So that's kind of the same as benefit 4, but one's vertical, the other one's horizontal. So when you have 3 or 4 businesses, you put somebody into business 1, you help them get that up and running, and then you talk to them about Wealth Warriors. Okay, and the way to do that, of course, is to show them a video exactly like this one, because I don't know about you guys, you might be cleverer than me. Some of you undoubtedly are. And but not all of you. You know who you are, okay? But some of you definitely are. But I find it very difficult to introduce somebody to one business and then talk to them about Wealth Warriors and introduce them to the other businesses. What I do is I bring them along to this presentation, or better still, I send them a video. This video that we're making now, I send them this video so that they understand Wealth Warriors and why, now that they're involved with me in one platform, they should also get involved in the other 3, 4, 5 platforms that we're involved with. Okay, so you build one business, and that ripples across all the other platforms that we're involved with. Okay, that's a great benefit to have. Benefit 6. This is specific to one of the platforms we're involved with, so we can recoup loans, mortgages, recent expenditure. How would you like to recoup every single penny that's ever left your bank account in the last 3 years? It doesn't matter why it left your bank account. You could have bought a car, taken some cash out, gone on a holiday, paid your mortgage, paid your rent, bought some food, buy a car. It doesn't matter why the money left your bank account, you're entitled to get all of that back again. The same as mortgages. Every mortgage you've ever had, you can get all that money back again. Okay, so that's a great benefit. We won't talk much about that, but we will on the next Zoom call that we have about the different platforms. Benefit 7, become free, wealthy, and live an abundant life. So that's the culmination of all of those things. All of those other benefits means that we can become free, free from government control, free from financial control, time and money free. We can become wealthy, and we can live an abundant life. Okay, so I'm going to show a quick illustration, and I realize I've been talking about these first few slides rather a lot, so I'm going to speed up a little bit. But this is an illustration of how Wealth Warriors work. So here's some assumptions for this illustration. The first assumption is Wealth Warriors deals with 4 platforms. Your business is such you have 10 people in all 4 platforms. I'd love you to have a bigger business, but the screen is only a certain size, and 10,000 people would we lose control of it, and 10 people makes just the point just as well. In each of those 4 platforms, you're making $1,000 per month. Therefore, your total income is $4,000 per month. So let's have a look at what that means. Platform 1, this is you, and you've introduced Alan, Belle, and Chris. And Alan's introduced a few friends. Belle's introduced Bex, who's introduced Bart. Chris has introduced some friends, and Cherry has introduced Chad. Okay, so that's your 10 people in your platform, and because of that, you're earning $1,000 per month. So let's move that out of the way now, because we're now going to introduce platform 2. And in platform 2, this is you, and you've introduced Alan and Belle and Chris, and they've introduced their friends, and their friends, and their friends. Okay, so now you have 10 people in platform 2, and you did that by following the advice I gave earlier, which is when you show somebody in platform 1, you also get them into platform 2. And if you've done that properly, your income now has gone up to $2,000 per month. So let's move platform 2 out the way to make room for platform 3. And here is you introduce the same people in the same positions in the next platform that you did in the first 2, which means that your income now has gone up to $3,000 per month. And if we look at platform 4, and again, there's a limit to how many platforms we can get onto this slide without getting completely out of hand. But you have introduced the same 3 people in the same positions. They've introduced the same friends in the same positions. And your income now is $4,000 per month. So you've really only built one business, but you've had 4 businesses build below you. And your income has gone from what would have been $1,000 per month now to $4,000 per month. The only thing I can probably guarantee you is that your business won't look anything like that, because the chance of having 4 platforms that all produce $1,000 per month is pretty small. So let's hope that continues for weeks, months, years, and you're making $4,000 per month. Of course, what's going to ruin that is that some of the people in your group are going to want to do what you've done and make $1,000 from each platform. So they're going to introduce their friends to platform 1. And then over time, they'll introduce them to platforms 2, 3, and 4. Some will introduce them to platform 3, and over time, they'll introduce them to platforms 4, 2, and 1, and so on. So your business will grow organically. The other thing that could happen is we introduce another platform, and those 10 people slot into platform 4, and your income increases to $5,000 per month. But let's suppose we've made a miscalculation, or something happens in the marketplace The government does something silly, the business owner of platform 4 does something silly, and platform 4 has gone. Your income has dropped to $3,000 per month. So you haven't lost everything. You haven't lost all of that effort that you put in. You're still making $3,000 per month. And I suspect if you were surviving on $4,000 per month, you could tighten your belt a little bit for a few weeks, a few months, and survive on $3,000 per month. It's certainly better than going back to zero and starting again. But better than that is the three people that you introduced to these three platforms. The fact they lost a little bit of money or a little bit of time and effort by getting into platform 4, they're not mad at you because we've communicated with them effectively and properly what happened to platform 4, and that don't worry because they're protected, because they still have an income from the other three platforms. They still have their permanent network of people in the other three platforms. So it's not the end of the world that platform 4 has disappeared. In an ordinary situation, if all we were doing was playing with platform 4 and no other platforms, then when that fails, it would be a disaster in terms of the income and the network that you built up in that platform. But then my job is to go out and find platform 5. And when we introduce platform 5, you introduce the same three people that you've got in the other platforms in platform 5, and they introduce their same friends and so on in the same positions, which means your income now goes back up to $4,000 per month, and then we're back to normal, and everything's running along quite normally now for weeks and months and years, making $4,000 per month, and organically growing your business, and hopefully adding another few platforms over the years. I don't think we need 20 different platforms. I think 5 or 6 platforms is going to be more than enough. So certainly 4 or 5 platforms is going to be more than enough. You don't want you don't want to sell your life to your online businesses. You want something that you can do in a few hours a week. You don't want to be on Zoom calls morning, noon, and night. It doesn't need to be like that. You haven't got to convince everybody to do everything quickly, build it fast, make as much money as you can. Okay, that's why people are on Zoom calls, 3 or 4 Zoom calls a day and this sort of thing. There's no need for it. If you're building this as a community, there's absolutely no need for that manic behavior, selling your soul to your businesses just to make a lot of money as quickly as you can before the thing goes bust. So if you want the benefits, you must follow the rules. So what are the rules? The first rule, and I've met a lot of flack about saying this, but I say it anyway because I say it with love, I say it with integrity, I say it with in spirit, which I believe is truthfulness. Okay, and people accuse me of saying this from my own selfish ends. That's absolutely not the case at all. But the first rule is don't sign up in any other platforms that come along. If it's a good platform, we will adopt it at some point. If you sign up in other platforms, then what you're doing is you're teaching the people in your community to go out there and sign up in other platforms. And if you're doing that, who's checking that your platforms are good and reliable, and you have a controlled, systematic way of introducing them to your community. Okay. We've all made mistakes in the past. We're going to make mistakes in the future, but what we want to do is to make sure that we minimize them. We're honest about them when we do make mistakes. So don't sign up on any other platform that comes along. If it's a good idea, we will get to it eventually. And there is not a tearing hurry. Anybody who tries to convince you you've got to get into a business now to be get an early mover advantage, or to be the first, to be at the top of the tree, you'll get spillover, you'll get all this extra bonuses and so on. They're building a different business than you. You're building a lifestyle business that's going to feed you and your family for generations to come. They're building something that they want to make a few $1,000s as quickly as they can before it goes bust. It's a massively different business. Okay, so just be aware of that. Do sign up in all the platforms we adopt. There's no reason why you can't sign up in all the platforms. We look for businesses you can get into for free or for around about $100. Okay, so if you're going to be investing in online businesses for the next 30 or 40 years, and we've got 4 platforms to feed. In fact, we've got 3 platforms we're feeding at the moment. Then $300 to get signed up in 3 platforms is not a massive commitment to your financial future, in my opinion. You haven't got to do it all today, but I'd suggest sign up in all the platforms, fund all of the platforms at the minimum level. Make sure and maintain lines of sponsorship across all platforms, because as soon as you start breaking those lines of sponsorship, the whole thing starts spiraling out of control and it crashes and burns. And even though you're coming on the Wealth Warrior calls and you're giving out the Wealth Warrior videos, and some of your people are saying they're Wealth Warriors, if you're breaking lines of sponsorship, people going above other people here, and then different people going down line in the next opportunity and things like that, it won't work. You need cohesiveness. You need to build something that's going to stand the test of time. And the only way to do it is to maintain lines of sponsorship across all platforms. That's the strongest defense you have against, or that's the strongest tool we have in our box for building wealth warriors. Without that, we don't really have a system. We don't really have a community. We just have a bunch of people all doing what the hell they like when they like. Okay, so that's an absolute vital thing. Do get your personally introduced people to do the same. So take a little bit of leadership over the people that you introduce. Don't just get people to sign up, and that's the last they see of you. Oh, good, I've made $30 on a $100 investment in one of the platforms. I'm happy now. Okay. Take a little bit of leadership. Get used to talking to people. Send them emails. Maybe if you can get their phone number, to phone them, to get them on a Zoom call. Either a one-on-one, maybe a one-on-one Zoom call, or a three-way Zoom call. Get them on a call with me or your other leaders. Okay, and just make sure they understand what they're involved with. They're not just involved in a single platform. They're involved in developing a community that's going to totally impact the rest of their lives. So do support your own people by learning about all of the platforms that we adopt. Now, you don't have to be an expert in all of the platforms. There was a time I knew everything in one of our platforms, or in fact, two of our platforms. I knew everything that everybody else knew, or anybody else knew. Nobody knew more than me in those platforms, but they've moved on. They've introduced other things, different adaptations, different ways of doing things. Okay, and I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in learning all the latest stuff. What I want is a passive income and commissions from helping other people do the same. And so when I get that from that platform, that's all I want. I don't want to get involved in, uh, 16 other things. I don't want to get involved in all the trips to China and trips to Macau, and getting involved in I don't know, Visa cards and wallets, additional wallets and things like that. Okay. Some people do. Absolutely great. Wouldn't decry that for a second, but that's not what we need as wealth warriors. What we need is the passive income and the ability to introduce other people so that they can create a passive income, and we get paid commissions for helping them do that. That's all we need. That's all we want. Keep it simple. So if you want the benefits, you must follow the rules, because that's the only way you can get security of income, build your permanent network, and become wealthy and live an abundant life. Being community centric means you put the community first. And again, I talk to a lot of leaders, not so much now, but I have done in the past, before I sort of took myself off the out of the picture about October last year. But a lot of leaders would say, look, I've looked at what you're doing with this Wealth Warriors. I love it. Can you show me how it works? And when I show them, they've got 25 reasons why they can't do it. And the biggest fear is that they're not really bothered in helping other people. What they're more interested in is being the big dog. They're more interested in being at the head of the pack, and they can't understand that everybody is at the head of their own pack. Everybody is the lead dog in their own train. Okay, they can't get their head around it. They want to be the lead dog for, and see themselves on Zoom and see themselves adulated around the world. And that's great if that's what you want, because then you can't build a community. If that's what you want, do it. But you don't have a community if that's what you do. Okay. And remember, platforms come and go. So those people that have not built a community, but they've just built a platform, when that platform goes, they've got to try and salvage their community. They've got to try and start all over again with a new platform. And some of them will do well, but most people tend not to. Because that community isn't committed to being a community. So platforms come and go, but the community should persist. And if you're not following the rules, then you're not really a wealth warrior. And that's great. If you can come along and I can show you some things and it helps you and it benefits you, I'm happy for that. But if you want the whole package, then you need to follow the rules. Okay, it's like saying, well, if I join the army, they can teach me how to shoot a gun and drive a tank. Okay, but if I want to be a Green Beret, I've got to follow the rules. I've got to do exactly what the training requires, because you don't get to be the best just by turning up once in a while and do what the hell you like. So what criteria do we have for adopting a platform? Well, I'm looking at changing these a little bit because I see they're with the changes to the online businesses, I see that some of these are kind of a bit difficult to comply with, but some of them are still absolutely valid. The first one is it must be available in the whole world. So if we're trying to work with a platform that's excluded in part of the world, but we have distributors within, distributor, that's showing my age now. Okay, we have members in our community that live in that part of the world, then we can't adopt that platform because it would break the lines of sponsorship. So I've turned away several good businesses like that because they're not available to everybody. And number two, it must have a unilevel compensation plan. And again, these force matrices and binaries and tertiary binaries, tertiary matrices and so on. Some of them are good. I don't, as a general rule, I've got an inherent dislike of them because I think it's a way of the company not paying you all the money you're worth. You earn $100,000 commission, but you can't have all of that because this leg needs to be 40% of that leg, and so you've only got 20%, so you only get half the money you've actually earned. So the company makes a huge amount of money based on your work, and you don't make what you should have done. So I don't like them. However, in this system, you need a unilevel compensation plan. Otherwise, the lines of sponsorship can't be maintained. People must be able to join for free or get involved in a passive income program for a very low entry cost, i.e. $100. When we first started Wealth Warriors, I wrote that and I said about $100, and we managed to find platforms that allow entry at that level for $100, there or thereabouts. There's a couple we're looking at now that are a bit more expensive, but it's about $100. So if you've got 1, 2, and 3, then you can maintain lines of sponsorship across platforms. That's why we have those criteria, because that's the most important thing to do, maintain the lines of sponsorship. And to do it, we need to have availability everywhere, a unilevel compensation plan, and everybody in the community must be able to join. Okay, so lines of sponsorship, again, vitally important. It must be based on real world applications. I see businesses about you can buy race horses and you can trade them and you can mate them and this sort of thing. You can build up stables of racehorses. I've seen it with racing cars. I've seen it with aeroplanes. I've seen it with barn building. You put some money in to help somebody build a barn in the hope that in a few years' time, somebody will put money in for you to build your barn. Okay. But nobody's building any barns. They're just giving money to the people that have been in the longest. Okay, there's a word for businesses like that. We don't get involved in any of those. It's not based on a real world application. And just to clarify or to add something in there, one of the things I'll probably change about this list of criteria is we probably won't be getting involved in anything to do with trading or arbitrage, because those things are they're subject to other people doing things with our money based on what's happening in the marketplace. And we've seen too many times where people say, oh, but we've got this and we only use 5% of the pot to do this, and we've got 20 traders, and what's the chances of all of it going wrong? Well, based on logic and common sense, you'd say nothing. Based on past experience, you'd say 100%. Okay, so if it's based on trading or arbitrage or anything like that, then it's probably just going to be a money game or a shell game or one of those badly run businesses that goes bust. And we've seen that too many times, so we will be avoiding those. And I may write that into the criteria as well. I certainly, as I'm looking at businesses, I'm certainly considering that in my head. We must be able to verify the company's legal status. Now, this isn't as important now because some of these platforms are not based on companies, they're based on smart contracts. So we need to look at criteria by which we can adopt the smart contract. What's the smart contract doing? Who's controlling it? You know, where's it hosted? How's it controlled, and so on. And look at the controls then, rather than the company. Look at the controls for those smart contracts. Because believe it or not, it's possible to write a smart contract that cheats you out of your money. People think that's not possible, but it absolutely is, because you don't know what's written into the code unless you've seen the code, written the code, or know how to read the code, which you don't have access to anyway. Then you don't know what's in the code. So you know, we need to have some sort of verification of what the smart contract is doing. What guarantees can we have? And then even then we start small and build big. The compensation plan must be viable and sustainable. And I've just finished looking at a compensation plan now for something that we were hoping was really, really good, and it just isn't viable. The company is giving away to us, or saying they're going to give to us, far, far, far too much money. They won't have enough money left to run their business, to run their platform. Okay, and so ultimately, as we get more and more people making more and more money, their profits will be cut into, and it will not work. It will not be viable. It will not be sustainable. Of course, when I explain this to people, they accuse me of being negative. They accuse me of not understanding what I'm looking at. But I can't make a decision for them. I can only make a decision for me and for us. So if it's not viable and sustainable, why would we get into it? And all the membership of Wealth Warriors must all be able to get behind the project, so we don't get involved in gambling, money lending, arms dealing. I say that tongue in cheek, but there are so many different things out there. You know, there's I don't want to talk about all the different things that the mafia does to make their money, but some people might be inherently opposed to. Well, I don't know. I'm not gonna speculate. But if it's something that I think there is going to be some people within the community that won't want to put the money into this, then we won't get involved in that platform. What I do, in fact, when I've analysed the platform, if it's good, I write it up and I tell people what the good points are, and then I point out why we're not doing it as a community. But then individual people can read that and they can say, well, yeah, we won't do it as a community, but I'm going to do this because you know, I like it, and it's gonna make me some money. That's absolutely fine. Not all businesses that work are suitable for building as a community. So we have 4 platforms. Wealth Warriors have adopted 4 platforms: Matrix Freedom, BitHarvest, Cryptex, and M9. So I'm going to get into one slide about all 4 of those. With Matrix Freedom, you become part of the freedom movement. The worldwide freedom movement is growing in size and stature and understanding and legal robustness, if you like. There is another word for robustness, and I can't remember what it is. Okay, but it's getting really good. And so we become part of that, and we can recoup your recent expenditures, and you can create your own currency. You can just say, right, this year I need $500,000 to live on, fill in a form, send it in, and within 2 or 3 months, you have created that $500,000 worth of currency, and it's delivered to your private trust, and you can withdraw that and spend it. And you can do that every single year if you want to. In fact, you can do it as many times a year as you want to. BitHarvest is a company that produces electronic devices. So we purchase those devices and we earn a passive income every day paid in Bitcoin. So they publish every single week how much your boosters have earned for you in Bitcoin. And if you build a team, you get commissions. And if you sell boosters, you get sales commissions as well. So that's basically so it's nothing to do with trading. It's that you own an electronic device, and that electronic device just chugs away into the future, making Bitcoin for you every single day. Great business, absolutely tremendous business. Cryptex, you can purchase a $100 smart contract that will arrange for you to earn a huge return of 35,000% or more over 3 years, 5 years, or 7 years. So for 5 years, it's more than 35,000%, and over 7 years, it's even more than that. Okay, it gets to be ridiculous amounts of money. But the clever little smart contract only costs $100. You can buy a bonus package where you buy 10 of those smart contracts in one go, and you actually get 15 smart contracts. So that 35,000% goes up to 50,000% over 3 years. Is it 51? I can't think. Somebody will know that. Correct me if that 35,000% is wrong. I believe it to be correct. So again, great little business. The problem with Cryptex is we don't get back any daily profit to do anything with. We have to wait 3, 5, or 7 years, depending which of those contracts we've purchased. We have to wait for that to get back a lump sum of money. But my reasoning in that on that is that if I can get out, for example, $35,000 by only putting in $100, that's worth a gamble. I've risked a lot more on a lot less. Okay, I bought into franchises in the real world that in the real estate world that went bust a year later. I had absolutely no control over my own business because it was a franchise. Okay, and literally I lost my life savings at that point on a franchise in real estate, believe it or not. Okay, so if I can put in $100 and make $35,000 after 3 years for no effort, I should add, no effort at all, then I'd be stupid. My thoughts are I would be stupid not to put $100 into it. I've liked it so much that I've done that several times now. I've put I've got about $800 in smart contracts. The most you can invest in that anyway is $8,000. So it's not something you're going to be able to lose your life savings on. 9M is, I don't want to get into this. We can talk about it in the questions and answers later. But the way 9M should work, I'm not saying it is working this way right now, because we adopted 9M, or they adopted us when a different platform failed. So with 9M, what you do is you stake in various investment plans to earn a daily passive income that can compound very quickly into large daily amounts. Okay, and there's a number of things that we like about this. There's a few things we still need to be convinced about. So the company still needs to provide us more information before we're prepared to shout out that this is the best thing since sliced bread, and get out there and start promoting it effectively. So if you're in 9M because you're in this previous platform, I would just sit on what you've done so far. And if you're not in 9M yet, but you're in Wealth Warriors, just wait and see what your the person who introduced you to the other platforms will let you know if we're going to do 9M or not. And not is a very realistic possibility. Why would we do something if it's not going to produce what we want? If it no longer meets our criteria, that's fine. We can cut and run. With all four of the platforms, you get additional. You have the option to earn additional rewards for taking part in team building activities, and that is optional. You don't have to do it. You can get into all four of those platforms just for the passive income. But if you are a team builder or you want help to build a team, then you're in the right place because there's additional rewards for that. So our communications, we run a Telegram group, so make sure you upline adds you to that group so that you can keep up to date with changes. We hold this Zoom call every Sunday at 10 o'clock UK time. Attend yourself, bring new people, make sure your people attend. It's a shortcut to fast growth. And although we're going to do another Zoom call later in the week, just about the platforms, this is a Zoom call to bring new people who want to be wealth warriors. So maybe you've shown them one of the platforms and now you want to introduce them to the wider world of wealth warriors, bring them to this call. Don't take people to the platforms call first of all. Okay, once they've seen this presentation or you've shown them this video, then take them to the platforms call. That'll be absolutely fine. But the platforms alone would confuse them. And people do get confused when we talk openly and honestly. We're not trying to convince each other that everything's hunky-dory. We are honest and open about things that aren't working, things that we'd like to see better. Okay, because we're not trying to hype people up on greed and get them to build businesses as quickly as they can. We're trying to build a community, and trust is important in a community. Attend the Zoom calls of the platforms. Their schedules published in the Telegram group. Take your people with you, particularly if there's one platform you like above all others. Make sure you go on those Zoom calls every week, 2 or 3 times a week if you want to. Take new people with you. Okay, so it's important if you like that platform. It's important to be up to date, because you don't want to look stupid when people ask you questions or they ask you for help and you don't know what you're doing. For Matrix Freedom, work your way through the webinars and books at your own pace, but get the first roadmap completed as soon as possible. So then you get your referral links from, sorry, the referral links from the person who invited you to this presentation. Get all the referral links for all of the platforms. So at the moment, they should hand you 3 referral links. If you're not in 9M already, then they won't give you the 9M referral link. So register in all the opportunities and make a note of all of your referral links. Pass these links on to your existing frontline members or to people that you invite to see this presentation, and make a minimum payment into all the opportunities as quickly as you can. You don't have to do it all on day one, but just as quickly as you can. Ask your introducer to be added to the Wealth Warriors Telegram group. Attend a Zoom call or watch the video for each platform you've added funds to your account. So I kind of covered that just now. And as new platforms are added to Wealth Warriors, make sure to get the referral link from your upline and join as quickly as possible. Then get your referral link and pass to your existing team, and then get on a presentation for that new platform as soon as possible. What I'm going to do very quickly, I don't know if I've got time to do this, but I'll make time. Or rather, I'll steal time from you. What am I sharing? That's not the right thing. Apologies. There we go. So I put together this spreadsheet. It's something I started using way back in the beginning, and I'm looking at making this available for everybody. I'll turn it into a Google Doc, and you can put it and you can access it on Google. And all you would need to do is to take a copy of this and use it for yourself. So don't fill it out when you go and look at it, which I see so many people do with these Google forms. Don't fill it out. Make a copy of it for your own use and then fill it out. So what you have here is the referral, Joe Blogs, his email address, his Telegram account, or Telegram username, I should change that to, and then his telephone number and WhatsApp. It would really help if I could spell. So telephone number, WhatsApp. So you may not get this from the first platform somebody joins with you. You may get their name and their Telegram account, but on another platform you'll get their email address, and from another platform you'll get their phone number. So pretty soon you built up, with that contact of yours, you built up a good communications profile. Then what you do is, if you've introduced them to Matrix Freedom, the information goes here, their username and their referral link. Now you want to take everybody's referral links, everybody you introduce, because occasionally what you want to do is give out somebody else's referral link to somebody that you've met. Okay, you might just be chatting on Facebook and you think, well, this person needs one more person to hit this bonus, or I said I'd help them, so I'm going to send them a few people. So you've got their referral link, you can send that referral link out to people. That's all we want, is the username and the referral link to each of the different platforms. So we've got Matrix Freedom, we've got BitHarvest, we've got Cryptex, and we've got M9. And I've made a space here for whatever the next one's going to be. And you just build up a list of names here, people that you've introduced, and keep track of all of their contact information. You want to make it easy to contact people. At the very top here, in Matrix Freedom, you write your sponsor's name or their username, or whatever you want to, however you're going to refer to them. Then you put your username for Matrix Freedom and then your referral link for Matrix Freedom. The same with BitHarvest, and the same with Cryptex, and the same with M9. Okay, so you've got that information available to you on a permanent, just is readily available. You haven't got to use this. I just think it'll be useful for some people. Some people will benefit from having that, and so I'm going to make it available on. I'm going to make it available on Google Docs. So it's the Telegram username is what we're interested in. That's the one with the ampersand. Sorry, not the ampersand. The @ sign in front of it. Again, that's the only way you can be sure of who you're talking to on Telegram. People can quite easily have a Telegram account and pretend to be you. And when people say, "Why are you emailing me?" I say, give me their get me their username, and if they haven't got a username, if it's not Andy, at Andy 10E6, then it's not me. That's the only unique thing about Telegram. But the name that the people present to the world, they can change it to anybody they want. The only thing they can't change is the username. So that's kind of useful to know. You want to make sure you know who you're dealing with. So I've stopped sharing, and I didn't want to do that. Okay, so as new platforms are added, make sure you get the referral link from your upline, join as quickly as possible, pass your referral link on, get on a presentation, grow your Wealth Warriors community by bringing more people to the Wealth Warriors Zoom calls or by sharing this video from YouTube. You only have to promote the 1 or 2 platforms you're excited about, then bring your new members of Wealth Warriors for them to learn why they should sign up in all the platforms. Build one platform and have 4 more platforms grow below you. Okay, these are definite or concrete outworkings of the benefits that I promised to you about 3 hours ago when I started this presentation. I'm going to skip through this fairly quickly because we can sort this out in the chat afterwards. But if you want a Wealth Warriors landing page, then you can copy this email campaign. So you can click on this link. And when you do that, when you click that link, System.io will provide you with a free account, and they will import my sales funnel into your account. They will copy all of my emails from that sales funnel into your account. All you need to do then is to go and change the referral links in the emails, and then you can start promoting your landing page and bring people into Wealth Warriors. Much more likely, though, is you will get a landing page for each of the different platforms. And you can get a Cryptex landing page quickly and easily by taking this link, get rid of this information on the end here, this C123456789, and replace it with your Cryptex account number. Okay, then you give that to people. They'll be sent to your very own landing page about Cryptex, where they can look at some videos, read some text, and click a button and sign up with you in Cryptex. So we don't have those available for all of the platforms. This type of landing page, that's a really nice landing page that's been provided by our upline free of charge. So that's great. I use that a lot. Yeah, so that's all I want to say about landing pages. But there is plenty of marketing material, chat groups, PDF documents, videos, prospecting scripts, introduction emails, YouTube channels, a whole lot more. For BitHarvest, there's a Telegram chat called BitHarvest Info Group. So it's t.me/BitHarvest Info Group. Or if you're in Telegram, you just type in @ BitHarvest Info Group. Join that group, and everything you could possibly want to promote BitHarvest is there. With M9, there's a Notion site. Some of you have worked with Notion. Programmers use it as a communal site for depositing videos and notes, schematics and images, anything they want to just to share between all the members of a project. So you can go to 9mc.notion.site/9m-en. And if you're in a different country, different language, then change that EN to something else. Like, for example, if you're in Germany, you can change it to DE, Delta Echo. Okay. There's lots of different sites you can go to. I think the EN site covers all the English-speaking languages or English-speaking countries. Cryptex uses boards. Boards is similar to Notions, is where people, community share lots of information. Everything you want to know about Cryptex, videos and email messages and spreadsheets and the landing page, or the links to the landing pages, the Facebook pages, the Telegram pages, the WhatsApp pages. Okay, everything is on that boards page. So it's at boards.com/a/VM8DI6.YDSNJE. It's presented in that notation, but I think it's not case sensitive. It might be. If it is, then you'll know. Matrix Freedom. Matrix Freedom doesn't have that sort of information, but it does have for people who are not yet members. So if you join as a member, you've got access to a huge amount of information videos and PDF documents, books, e-learning books, and so on, webinars, seminars, and so on. If you're not yet a member, or if you want to talk to somebody who's not yet a member, then just send them to the website matrixfreedom.org. Okay, and they can navigate their way around. There's a tab that says why it works, and there are hundreds of videos. Well, might be hundreds. There's certainly many dozens of videos that are all 10 minutes long that explain all the different elements of matrix freedom and why it works in 10 minutes. So people can find what they're looking for there to find out if they're interested in what we're doing. So a quick reminder, we're building a solid foundation on which we can base our financial futures. We only work with companies that are in it for the long term, as far as we can ascertain. Okay, we only work with companies that are above board, as far as we can ascertain. Some of them tip their hands very early. Not all of them do. We build a large asset, which in turn will deliver us a large income. That's our whole plan. We want a large asset. So in every platform, we start small, we build and build and build, and we add more platforms which take on the building profile and benefit. Each new platform benefits from all the platforms we built before. So we just build each platform big, and we build more platforms that we build bigger. Only platforms that meet our rigorous criteria are even considered. And when we apply our rules to this industry to achieve our outcomes, this is why we do it. Okay, I could do a 1-hour seminar just on this one bullet point, because we are fed up being pushed around by one company, one platform, our upline that psych us into getting involved wholeheartedly into something that they have absolutely no guarantee is going to be the answer to our prayers. Okay, they just see that it could be the answer to their prayers. And so we apply our rules to this industry. Now, if you don't like my rules, absolutely fine. You can go and build your own community, build your own rules. Okay, but what we're trying to do is achieve what we want, not what other people want to impose on us. And this is one way of doing it. If there was a better way, I would be trying that. It's important to remain safe on the internet. So this is finally. And you know that when an Englishman says finally, it doesn't mean he's going to finish soon. It just means he's getting close. So finally, it's important to remain safe on the internet and in the world of online opportunities at all times. One of the ways you do that is do not share your password or other credentials with anyone. If you have 2FA available on any of your accounts, set it up. If you don't know what this is or how to do it, Google 2FA. I see so many people, they ask me for help, and we got on a Zoom call and we go and look at their account and they haven't set up their 2FA. Yes, it's a pain, but if you lose all of your Bitcoin, you'll really wish you'd done it. Okay. And I have worked with some people who have lost all of their money, and they say, oh, I didn't realize that my account could be hacked. Well, you've got no control over what they do with the passwords, what the company does with the passwords and the usernames, but you do have control over what you do with the Google 2FA. You set it up, it's nothing to do with the company, it's your control. So that's the easiest way I can explain that. Back up your passwords and your 2FA codes in a secure location. Write it down, keep it safe. If you have a safe, put it in the safe. Make sure the executors of your will or your beneficiaries have access to this information in the event of your death, whether you send them a copy, whether they know where your copies are, whether there's something that triggers so that, in the event of your death or incapacitation, it doesn't have to be death, then they can access it for, wouldn't it be a shame to build an empire and then when you die, nobody has access to the empire you built? So welcome to Wealth Warriors. We are financial freedom fighters. Get back to the person who invited you on this call or referred you to this video. They are ready and waiting to help you avoid scams, protect your permanent network, and create immense personal wealth. So with that, I'm going to close down the share, and I'm going to stop the recording in just a few seconds. But before I do that, I want to say good to see you all. Thank you all for coming, sharing this time with me. I do appreciate it. As a quick update, the message about Wealth Warriors is slowly getting out to the world. For a long time, we weren't really ready we weren't sure whether we were ready to promote in an active way. And I'm getting much more confident now that I think we can start promoting Wealth Warriors. and as being the system that we all want to get involved with and to follow. I certainly do. I certainly feel confident enough to be promoting it, and that's what I'm going to be doing more and more over the next few weeks. So thank you for bearing with me and for sharing your time with me this evening. We'll do this again next Sunday evening, 10 p.m. UK time. And by all means, bring some friends, neighbours, relatives, people you want to talk to them to learn a little bit more about Wealth Warriors. Meanwhile, I'll be in touch about the latest day, so the proposed date for the next Zoom call, which would be just about the four platforms we're involved in. And then we'll also explore on that call, or maybe in the Q&A section later today, we will look at whether it's a good idea to have a Zoom call every week where people can actually bring their offerings to the group, and we will sit and look at it together, and try and figure out if it's going to be good for Wealth Warriors or not. So be interested on your feedback on that. But meanwhile, this presentation is over. Thank you again so much. God bless. Have a wonderful, wonderful week, and I'll see you same time, same channel next week. God bless.
I want to see you win. I want to see you absolutely smash every single dream you have. I want to see you overcome all of the barriers you face, and I want to see you succeed. I'm your biggest fan, your top supporter, and I'll be with you every single step of the way. You're destined for greatness, with or without me, and I want to see you achieve. Your potential is limitless, and your determination is inspiring. Keep striving for your goals, and I'll continue to cheer you on.